Good afternoon and welcome to the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. Astronauts Drew Feustel and Don Pettit are joining us today from the bottom of that 6.2 million gallon swimming pool, where they've been testing some tools and ideas for ways that we can eventually train astronauts for moonwalks. They're taking a short break to answer some questions for us, which we've already gathered from social media, but you can still get yours in now using the hashtag AskNASA. We'll try and take a few before we wrap up. And for now, we'll dive right in. Drew, perhaps you could start us off by giving us a quick explanation of what you and Don are doing today.
Well, thanks for the great introduction. As you said, we're at the bottom of the Neutral Buoyancy Lab working on development of the Artemis program, and we're all working hard here at the Johnson Space Center in preparation for eventual landing on the moon target for 2024. One of the key challenges for us is developing our new spacesuits, and I'm wearing that new spacesuit now. Don is wearing a suit that is meant to complement this and the work that we're doing in the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, but you can see as you look around us, we've got some mock-ups and simulations for the lunar surface, and we're just practicing the basic tools, development, and techniques that are going to be required for us to explore the surface of the moon in the near future.
Well, it looks very cool from here, so we're going to start right away with the social media questions. The first one is, how much is being underwater like being on the moon?
Well, that's a great question. I've never been to the surface of the moon, but I've certainly been underwater plenty of times, and we're doing what we can to take advantage of buoyancy in underwater and develop scenarios for the spacesuit that simulate a 1/6 G environment, which is gravity on the moon that represents 1/6 of what we feel on Earth. So I can bounce gently in this spacesuit and not very unlike what I can do on Earth, and I can move around fairly freely. So we're trying to simulate that environment, utilizing the water and the buoyancy that we can get out of it.
And I think normally y'all are used to floating as though you're in microgravity when you're here in the Neutral Buoyancy Lab. Probably feels a little bit different.
Yeah, typically we're using the Neutral Buoyancy Lab to work on the space station in a micro, or what we call sometimes a 0-G gravity environment, where we're actually floating neutrally in the water column. And in this case, we add some weights so that we can actually walk on the soles of our feet and move around as if we're on the planetary surface.
Very interesting. Next question was, how long are you guys going to be underwater today?
We will be underwater for about 6 hours in total, which is very similar to the length of time that we would plan for a typical lunar spacewalk or lunar EVA.
And then we also got a question about the Apollo training for moonwalks. They wanted to know if this was very different than what the Apollo astronauts did.
In fact, this is very similar to what the Apollo astronauts did in preparation for their missions to the moon. They utilized not only the Neutral Buoyancy Lab or facility very much like it, but also other weight offloading apparatus that allow them to experience the gravity forces similar to what's on the moon. They also utilized aircraft that can be, we call that 0-G aircraft, but you can actually change the trajectory of an aircraft to create some different gravity environments, and that's another facility that they use to practice for lunar spacewalking.
All right, and we also had a question about the suits themselves. I know that y'all have been testing some of the iterations for them underwater for a while now. Have you been able to give any feedback on the design to the engineers working on them?
Absolutely. This suit has been in development for a number of years, starting 2 decades ago, and it's fairly far into its development phase. We have some great capabilities with this suit that we don't experience in the ISS or zero gravity spacesuit. In particular, one of the capabilities we have is walking. This suit has articulating legs on it, which is not something we use in a zero gravity environment, and that allows me to move and walk as if I'm walking on the surface of the Earth, and also allows me to bend down and inspect the surface of the moon, and even pick up objects or reach over and do things that I couldn't normally do in a different type of a spacesuit. And so we've got a lot of capability. We also have great mobility with our hands and our arms. I can reach up and touch the top of the spacesuit, can reach across and touch my other shoulder, These are not things that we can do in our previous generation of spacesuits, so we're really happy about the development of this suit and what capabilities it's going to allow us on the surface of the moon.
Visibility is also outstanding in that suit.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive, the kneeling down and picking up. And I think that's kind of some of the activities you've been working on today, right? Gathering samples and testing out some of the tools?
Got some tools in development, our early generation tools, simplified tools, similar to the types of tools that geoscientists use on the surface of Earth to understand better the environment that we're in, understand what the makeup and the composition is of the lunar surface. And so as we test the suit, we also test these tools and perform various actions that are similar to the way a geoscientist would study the Earth.
And Don, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you're wearing underwater today.
Oh, this is a KM97 hard hat, and we're using this for development of the lunar surface runs. There's a lot less overhead in doing a hard hat dive compared to a pressure suit dive like in the XEMU prototype suit that we're working on. And so the hard hat diving allows us to work on runs in between the times when we can get the pressure suit.
That does sound easier. We have another question from social media asking what would be the biggest difference between the suit that you're wearing underwater versus the one that would go into space?
Actually, we don't perceive that there will be considerable differences. The idea is that this suit has progressed far enough in development. We understand what our needs are on the surface of a planetary body as we explore it. That's based largely on our experiences during Apollo, and building on that from the work that we've done, all the 2 decades of work that we've done on ISS and doing spacewalks. So I think we have a good understanding of what our needs are, and so this suit is fairly well developed, and we don't think there are going to be considerable differences between what we're testing in now and what you'll see on the surface of the moon eventually in the very near future.
That's very exciting. Don, it looks like you've got a flag there in your hand. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that?
We have the American flag, and we are actually going to do a flag ceremony here underwater as if we were on the moon. And Drew is pounding in the lower part of the flag pole, and then we will affix the upper part of the flag pole to the lower part, and we will unfurl the colors of America.
How does it feel to be practicing for this?
I think this is amazing that we're even being able to do this right now. And here you go, Drew. Go ahead and plant the colors.
Yeah, you can grab that side if you want. Good.
That looks amazing, guys. Thanks so much for taking time to talk with us today. I think we've got one more question before we wrap up. I wanted to know, since you haven't been on the moon, it might be a little bit hard to judge how well the simulation is. Have you talked with any of the Apollo astronauts about their experiences and what to expect?
In fact, we have. We, on a regular basis, as best we can, we try to get feedback from those that are willing to share that information with us. And we're fortunate to have many of the astronauts still living that were on the surface of the moon. And we learn from them, and really all of our achievements are based on the successes they had, and we really rely on them to help us understand how to do the job they did, and try to do more things and more science than what they achieved back in the early 70s. So it's really an advantage, a great advantage for us to have that asset available, and we thank them all for their services and their sacrifices and their willingness to help us go back.
And even more so than the moonwalking astronauts, we've been talking to the Apollo-era flight directors and the Apollo-era engineers that helped design the spacecraft and the Apollo-era mission control people, just to pick up pearls of wisdom that these guys learned the hard way some time ago, a generation ago, and we're learning what they can tell us so that we can apply it to the Artemis missions.
Thank you so much. I think that's a great sentiment to wrap up on. So we're going to head out for the day. But for those who are watching at home, you can keep up with all of our Artemis developments at nasa.gov. And hopefully we'll be seeing a scene very similar to this on the surface of the moon in just a short time. Thanks so much, Drew and Don, for talking with us.
EV1 is hearing calm, but it's garbled.
Same for EV2.
Did I lose the low-weight hammer?
Yeah, it must have fallen out.
It was here.
Testing audio. This is Jeff Fry testing audio.
Oh, sure it is.
Audio test. Audio test.
Oh.
Syllabants.
EV1 can hear calm, but it's still garbled.
Yeah, EV2, same for EV2.
Okay. Copy that. Try to start talking to Don. Slowly and clearly. Issue comes back next. Then remove the headphones. Hello, Don. This is Jeff Fry. I can't hear you, but hopefully you can hear me. If you want to basically explain what you guys are doing today.
Joe, we are underwater in NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory, which is a big swimming pool where we do training for spacewalks. Typically for space station, we're weighted out neutrally, so it's like being in microgravity in orbit. But today, we are weighed out underwater to 1/6 gravity, which is the equivalent gravitation that we would see when we're on the moon.
And this is very exciting because you have the new spacesuit and the new lunar upgrades. Is your imagination casting you and Drew to the moon right now?
Yes, a lot of the simulations that we do as astronauts are sort of like playing house as a kid, and you need to use your imagination coupled with the state of our tools and the whole environment, and it can do a good job of actually training you for being there.
And what are your thoughts about the suit and the lunar upgrade? Were they working well?
Say that again.
What are your general thoughts and your reactions to the lunar upgrades in the pool as well as the new suit?
Oh, the new suit, the mobility in the lunar surface spacesuit is amazing. It's specifically designed for surface activity, meaning walking and kneeling and bending, coupled with the dexterity we have in the gloves and the shoulders now for this next generation suit. Its ability to let you work as a human being on the surface of a planet is amazing.
And Don, you and Drew are experienced veteran astronauts. Do you, in moments like this, I mean, this is one more step to get closer to the moon in 2024. Do both of you still get excited, get tinges of excitement going through your experience right now?
Yeah, we are enthusiastic and excited about training to go into space, whether it is space station or going beyond space station, like on Artemis mission. So it doesn't get any better than this if your job description is being an astronaut.
So it sounds like you guys are having a blast.
Yeah, this is all in a day's work for being an astronaut.
And can you speak more about the lunar surface there at the bottom of the pool and how important it is to have an analog like that?
Well, we're starting to outfit the bottom of the neutral buoyancy lab so it looks like a lunar surface, and we have sand and rocks, and we have mock-ups for spacecraft, both the human lander and the uncrewed cargo landers, and it's all part of the training that we're going through, and the engineering operations to make sure that we know how the tools are going to work when we get to the moon.
Understood. And how long have you been on the dive as of now?
I guess it's been a couple of hours. The dive will be about 6 hours total, and that's normal for our EVA operations.
And the goals of the dive today, can you go over your goals and what you've achieved so far?
Yeah, we have a test plan that we've been following. We've got a checklist that we go through, and And right now we are actually we're going to check Station Delta to do a sample core tool drive right now.
Yep.
And Drew is leading the way.
And that is one of the main purposes of the Artemis 3 mission is a lot of geological studies. So the tools and the lunar surface is very important for preparation, yes?
Yeah, it sure is. And there's a lot of different reasons for going to the moon. One is to do to learn lunar geology and take to do the lunar geology. The other is just to learn to work on another planetary surface so you can use that knowledge to go further into our solar system.
Very exciting. And I guess the question I have is that most spacewalks in recent history have been on the ISS where there's no actual walking involved. And now preparing for the moon surface, the legs, the footing, that's very important. Can you explain the difference of this particular NBL and you're actually walking?
Yes, with
Don and I are working right now to try to assemble a tool for a sample of the regolith here, and so as we do that, we're trying to multitask to talk and take a data sample at the same time.
You know, and sometimes astronauts have trouble walking and talking at the same time. Basically, we're going through the operations that we would be doing on the moon to take a core sample right now. So we have this thing that looks like a hollow tube, and this is a slide hammer, and Drew's going to do it because he's in the high-fidelity suit, and you pound the core into the ground so that you can get a stratigraphic cross-section of the regolith.
And can you tell me about the tools? These are new tools, correct? How are they working out?
Well, this hammer that I'm holding up right now is actually the hammer designed for Apollo 17. Oh, you already got the sample.
I think I've got the sample.
Well, thank you both very much, and it looks like you guys are having a blast. So take care and enjoy. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us while we're down here working underwater, pretending we're on the moon.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in, guys. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and share with you the work that we're doing here at NASA. And we're all working hard. Everybody's working extremely hard to get to the moon by 2024, and we've got a lot of challenges ahead of us. But I think there's a lot of optimism and desire to get there and see humans return to the moon and stay this time as we work our way onto Mars. So thanks for doing what you can to share the story and allow us to show you what it's all about. And we hope that we continue with the support that we've had so far to date and see this to fruition.
Yeah, Drew, this. That pip pin was kind of tough to do. Oh, we didn't get the plunger, did we, Drew?